You got it.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Jay with the Suede Soul and the Velvet Vibes. Lorenz Tall, Mr. Love Jones Live, All War, Everything, Answer E, all of the above, aka Snapple Facts. And we're here today with this might be one of our few solo episodes of Bourbon and Boy Shorts. But we have a phenomenal guest today. I had the opportunity to meet her here in Baltimore at for the National Thoroughbred event. That's also where I got to meet our great quarterback Lamar Jackson. But she is a pioneer in an industry that traditionally isn't so open, and I think we've seen some great women, specifically women of color, entering into this industry, entering into the spirits industry. She is highly educated at some of the finest universities. But my experience with her, she is very down to earth. She is a wonderful person, a very warm spirit. Today we have Miss Dee Robinson of Good Trouble Bourbon. Dee, introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Well, first of all, Jeremy, thank you so very much for allowing me to be here with you and your guests today. And, I love talking about anything that's good trouble and
Hmm.
helping us all think about how to get into good trouble. And so it's a joy and it's been a journey, but that's life. And I have to say this, I love bourbon. I love having these opportunities to talk to folks like you.
Hmm.
And so let's go.
That's awesome. One of the first things I've noticed, and this was the sitting here. Dee's a very busy lady, so I'm happy I got her time. And for these 2 or 3 minutes, you have a wonderful team.
Yes, I do.
And I think it's important to ask leaders, how do you select team members? What is the thing, that unique spark you're looking for?
You know what? That's a great question. And what I would say is that, you know, we also need talent. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
actual raw skills. But most things we can train people to.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you need certain disciplines. But you know what our deciding factor is? Are our values aligned? And I actually say that across all of my businesses, that the partners we choose, that you should choose people whose values align with your own. And I actually think that that can help minimize any break up down the road.
Oh, that's a good point.
But it's really about building a culture, and then if people believe in the vision, that North Star, because like anything in life, things get hard. And my mom always said, no one ever said it'd be easy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not. But when you are values driven, purpose driven, you're doing the things, and then all of us know what we're working towards. I need to have people on the team who get what we're trying to accomplish in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
so that helps them also have a fire in their belly as well. And then they can go lead in their own directions. And so we try to find the right people in the right seats, and also hopefully they'll make the right moves to allow us to move the brand forward.
That's good. With with the brand Good Trouble, to
Mhm.
the point of culture, what is the culture of Good Trouble?
We talk about how cultural relevance matters across any brand, actually, and if you want to spur growth. But we think about it in terms of courage, originality, and we think about even excellence. And this is the other thing I think is really important for the audience to understand and how I operate. And I think we all should have a standard of excellence. We should understand where we come from, and that, we should always go out there and just do our best. And then oftentimes I would say, and I had to learn to do this, it's like it's easy to get a little chip on your shoulder because somebody said something wrong or inappropriate, or there's a microaggression. And then allow people to take us off our game. But instead, we should just understand that, look, brush it off and don't let them to continue to try to victimize you. Just go do you. And I've learned to do that is like let them underestimate you and just go do you. So that standard of excellence, and then also just positivity. Good trouble really is a call to action. It really is us understanding how do we go out and use our voice and our power. We like to think about good trouble as the power of choice. And I want people to understand that they have good in them. They have this light, and the world needs to see it. And no matter how small, but how do we get you involved in what's happening in the world even right now? And we need those voices now more than ever. And that's why I tell people, I said, this is brand is the right time. And because this is really about empowerment and the lifestyle. I want people to think about the things they do. It's like good trouble is a lifestyle. And I say to my
Mm.
daughter sometimes, is that good trouble? And you ask that question, is that good trouble? Don't you know instantly
Mm-hmm.
what that means? And so as we sort of move forward, we think about it simply as that a call to get in good trouble. And I really need everyone, particularly now. And then when you even look at our bottle, the shape of it was intentional. Everything about it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
We stand on big shoulders. And some of us don't want that responsibility, but it's real. And I sit here today knowing that I'm here. I can enter a space where there are underrepresented voices because someone opened the door. And so that sense of gratitude, I also think is part of what helps us get to where we are. It's that sense of understanding that we are grateful for the opportunities ahead of us and go make the best of them.
That's good. You mentioned your conversations with your daughter, and something I read is conversations I guess your mom has had with you about the only trouble that you should get in is good trouble. And it's similar to something my mentor always say: if you're not going to be good at it.
You know what? It's
Yeah.
it's true. It's absolutely true. You mentioned my mom,
Mhm.
certainly I'm standing on her big shoulders and she sacrificed a lot for us. But, the reality is that she was hard, right? She was like,
Mhm.
look, but what I realized is that what she was doing, like all parents do, we want more for our kids. And so she was navigating at a time when these opportunities, she's one of the most brilliant women I've ever met. And that's just the truth. Happened to be my mom, and I was lucky in that department. But that those teachings is also what led to me writing the book, is understanding that the world is what it is. We have to lean into our talents, but also
Mhm.
recognize that there's fear. And that fear sometimes keeps us from living our best lives and all the gifts that we're given. And we all have them.
Mhm.
And I always say that we all deserve to be anywhere our dreams take us. So
Mhm.
understand what you want and take the steps. And you don't need to be talented in everything, because I certainly am not. I'm not good at everything, but you have to learn how to go and find the people who can help you on the journey. And one of the things I say is that I'll ask the team, like, what do you think the key success factors are for managing a business or an issue that you're thinking about? But one thing people forget about is this, to ask for help.
Mhm.
So, we sometimes don't want to be vulnerable and all that, but I would not have been on this path had I not just simply said, hey, I need your advice. Can you help me? And when you talk and ask like that for advice, most people want to give it. Most people will be willing to help. And I think that's one of the keys in anything that we do, because we can't do it alone.
Mhm. I agree. You spoke on we all have natural gifts, natural giftings. What are some of the things you are uniquely gifted at that you may not even had to study for or train for? And how has
Well,
that gifting brought you to good trouble and the creation of good trouble?
Well, great question. I actually think that those gifts are in us. We continue to cultivate and we
Hmm.
refine over time, because the more you use it, the more you get better. It's like AI, right? The
Yeah,
more you use it, right? That's right. It's like,
it
and
is.
so,
And I
right. And
fought
so,
AI for the longest, but I got to,
no,
yeah,
listen, the
yeah,
AI is here.
it is.
And we're studying it, and I'll talk to you about it in a moment, and how
Hmm.
we're even using it. But if people are trying to figure out what the gifts are, there are a couple things you can do. What do you like to do? Like, what do people say? Sometimes you may not even see your gift, but somebody's probably said, "Man, you're really good at that." Or what do you get? What do you lean into? Or I love moments of flow, when those moments when you're just at work and you don't remember, you lose all track of
Hmm.
time. Like, what are
Hmm.
those things? And if you don't know what those are, start recording it. Like, man, I really do this. And by the way, I thought I wanted to be a chef.
I did
So
too.
that's what, so I went from being corporate America, then I'm like, I love to cook food and hospitality. My mom was a great cook. In the background, there's a cookbook that I wrote in honor of her. But I started understanding, though, but also sometimes our likes, or what we think might be a good profession, should be a hobby. And so
Mhm.
one of the
Mhm.
things I did too early on, I started cooking around in kitchens in Chicago. Chefs actually let me come in. And then I remember one night at Charlie Charters, I was like, okay, this is not for me. But I remember leaving saying I want to own.
Ah.
So I still like the space. I'm not a chef, and of course, my friends love my cooking. They might think that I am, but I do love that. But actually, this also brought me to actually Good Trouble. So, because what I love about Good Trouble, and in fact, well, connecting with our master distiller, we talk about our
Mhm.
kitchens. Of course, he's a lot larger than mine. But Good Trouble in Making is both art and science. It appeals
Mhm.
to both sides of my brain. And back to talent, just understanding that there is an analytical side of me, but there's also this creative side. And being able to navigate in that space and then just keep leaning in. And over time, like I said earlier, you just get a little better, you get more confident, and then you start recognizing, I don't really like that.
Mhm.
I left my corporate job knowing that I could do the work, but did I love the work or was the work fulfilling? The other thing I will say should never be any place where you're not valued.
That's good. That's a great piece of wisdom. That is, you've spoken to me and given me some confirmation. I need to refocus on this interview now. That-
Well, that's good.
no, no,
That, that,
that is great. And with those things, you're in corporate America. You're cooking around Chicago. What leads you to Good Trouble? Because hearing cooking, it makes me think, because I went through that phase, not phase, but the idea of like I went to culinary school for a few classes.
right?
I'm like I love cooking. I don't think I want to be in a kitchen. I went through the process of I love making cocktails. I don't want
Yeah,
to be a bartender.
that's
And then it's
right.
like, oh, I like the social component of it.
There you
So I was
go.
like, this is the space I need to be in. Social spaces, not these were just vehicles to
Was
that. So
that's exactly right. But see how
mhm,
you went on that journey because you
yes.
started to learn. And then you
Hmm.
started to pick from what it is you really were leaning into. And I think you and I are the same that way.
Hmm.
This is that social, a gathering of people. The brain is really about connection, conversation, and positive change. And how do we come together? I always say that when we break bread, when we drink in those moments, those magic moments,
Hmm.
we are more alike than we're different. And so when you can lean into that and then recognize that there's common ground amongst many of us,
Hmm.
and then if we can sort of get to that point, I think also we can create more greatness, more strategic partnerships, more things. And for me, Good Trouble was I'm again restaurateur, love food, foodie. Think again back to wanting to be a chef.
Hmm.
And then I actually even thought about wine at one point because I love big bold reds, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I
love both
started
words.
drinking bourbon, and then all of a sudden something happened because I went to a tasting and started thinking about the complexities of it and was, and I think this is what I would just say as a general rule back to your strengths, what should you do, is that having that sense of curiosity.
Hmm.
I got curious. And so my curiosity led to me, well, let me just see what it takes to be a craft distiller. And then understanding the intricacies of the spirit itself. And then once I studied it, I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe I can make it. And so
Hmm.
I went on a journey. But remember early on, I talked about values
Yes.
and one of those values being excellent. So I also said this, if I'm going to do it, we're going to do it well.
Hmm.
I set a standard out the gate. And so what does success looks like? And so I decided I wanted to make it out of Kentucky. I knew that I wanted to validate and have great bourbon. You can't be good trouble and not be good. Let's just be
Hmm.
real,
That's
right?
right. You're
So
right.
um,
You're not gonna be good.
I
Be good
also
at it.
no, that's right. And that's right. I'm going to remember that. But it's a journey of understanding, all right, what were key success factors? What did I want to do? First of all, I wanted to make bourbon
Hmm.
worthy of its name. And good trouble means so much, but I also wanted to honor the legacy of John Lewis.
Hmm.
But what you alluded to earlier was also honoring my mom because, this thing happened because of an older sister who was hell on wheels. And then 20, 10 years later, twins came to the world. And my mom used to tell my brother and I, the only kind of trouble we could get in was good trouble. But it was also the times in which she was letting us also know that you may not be liked. People may not accept you, but go do you.
Hmm.
We have to lean into what is our own greatness and embrace that and not keep worrying about what the world said you are. We are believing things that the world puts on us or deposits on us or people in our universe. In my book, Courage by Design, I talk about a courage circle. There should only be people who inspire you, who stretch you, who empower you, that should be in your circle. So I say sometimes we got to do a little laundry. And I had to do laundry in my first venture out because there were people like, why are you doing that? You can't do it. There are a lot of people who say you can or ask you why and start creating doubt. Doubt is a problem. Doubt is the thing that keeps us from realizing our dreams and our capacities and our abilities. So here's what we do. Let them say it, but most times I believe the people who are saying you can't do something, who are expressing doubt, you know what they're telling you? They're telling you what they can't do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't know you. They don't know the X factor. They don't know all the gifts and things that are in you. But yet, why do we always want to listen and hear them versus me saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can. But you have to believe internally. You have to be able to mind your mind. That is your greatest asset. And then, so the more you don't think you can do something, the more likely you won't.
That's true.
I shoot for the stars. May not get there, but I might get close, but I'm gonna get closer if I take the risk and then willing to fail.
I agree. I've had some great mentors. You saying that make one of my mentors shoot for the stars, land on the moon. Either way, you're out of this world.
That's exactly
Um,
right.
I've
And I
had some.
just want people to just do something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, whether it's through finding a way to be a part of the social change that we all need in the world, how we contribute to our families, our own well-being, just do something.
Mm-hmm.
But Nelson Mandela says, I don't lose, I either win or learn,
Oh, I learned.
right? And so I'm always sort of embracing this process of learning. And trust me, I have failed, I've lost money. There was an article many years ago, I think it was Forbes magazine, and it was Fortune, and they it was called Success and Failure. And there was all of these major just celebrities and business people who had lost billions, had multiple bankruptcies. And then we get so caught up in a mistake and then we live there and they're breaking. I'm like, well, I'm not going to lose 8.5 billion that Smithburg from Quaker did, or Uberoff did, or Martin Scorsese. I'm like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to do that. And you can manage the risk. But we're so busy worrying about what could go wrong as versus thinking about how to go right and then navigating towards that greatness, that possibility.
Mhm. How I like this topic. How do we get that mindset? I've heard people say you can make more money again. If you lose it, go make it again. You know how to make it. You've made it once, you can make it twice. How do we get out of that mindset? I don't want to call it a poverty mindset, but the lack limitation mindset. How do you get out of that? How do you and
Yeah,
then how do you keep that out of your the spirits industry out of your bourbon because it is I'm sure a trial and error. I noticed we had I want to get to it's a 70% in the mash bill, so a little
yeah.
higher. And I'm sure at one point it was 55, at one point it was 67.
It was a
So
lot of things. Okay. But let's talk about mindset for a
yeah,
moment.
yes, please.
Um, because first of all, I had to understand something. And in my book, I even talk about what I call the positive thinking diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did this, and I don't know how I figured this out. So I want your audience to do something for me. I want
Okay.
them to get a rubber band and put it on their wrist.
Ooh, do I have a rubber band near me?
Okay.
I have a bracelet.
And
Yep.
I end up creating
Mm-hmm.
one called I Can, I Will, and
Mm-hmm.
I Have Faith. So anytime I had a negative thought or a limiting thought, I had to snap it.
That's good.
Yeah. And then you reset and you rephrase. So you have to reframe what you just said. So if I say I don't have enough money, guess what? I'll say I will find it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the right skill set. Well, I know I can find it. You see the difference in the shift of what I
Mm-hmm.
can't do versus what I can or what is possible or I'm going to try. And so I had to train myself, and it was fascinating. I don't know if anyone is as disciplined as I was doing this because I needed to understand and didn't realize how negative my thought or limiting my thinking is. So first of all, I had to embrace an abundance thinking. First of all, what's fact. God wants us to have abundance in all
Mm-hmm.
parts of
Mm-hmm.
our lives.
Live life more abundantly. That is
That's
the call.
exactly right. But also, people don't even think they deserve it,
That part.
right?
That part. Yes.
They don't think, oh no, there's no way that could be for me. I'm not that person. You see it all around you, but somehow you don't think you are deserving of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one big barrier right there. And you might have had traumas and all the things. Listen, everyone's got something, but how do we navigate around it? It's just not your story. It happened, but it's not who you are.
Hmm.
So when we start looking at the things that are happening, instead of internalizing and thinking that's who I am versus understanding that, no, this is actually universal. And so when you think about universal principles being part of your life, meaning giving, like I know as I give, it always comes back. I
Yeah,
don't
comes back.
expect it, right? Or just having faith. I say I'm a faithful entrepreneur. And I got an honorary degree last year, and I spoke to the audience and I said this, and this is true. I was wasted, I was afraid, and I was broke.
Wow.
Now, wasted, I just said to them jokingly that, this is a graduation that a lot of you already started early in your celebrations. You might be wasted right now. But what I meant by it was we waste time worrying about what other people think. We waste time worrying about what could go wrong. We waste time listening to all the wrong people. And then the fear is that I'm going to fail. I don't know how. And then when I tell you I was broke, I left my corporate job. You mentioned my education, and I'm blessed beyond measure in that way. But I was at a point where I ran out of money and I didn't have parents who I can go say, hey, my rent is due. And I got to a point, and I remember, and here's back to asking for help. I couldn't go there, and I was literally backed up against the wall. And I remember, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I had to figure it out. But first of all, I had to learn fear. Fear, you are in my way. You've gotten in the way of me to realize. And once I did that ban and started opening up and say, Fear, I know you're real. I
Hmm.
don't have time for you right now. We all have it. And so now you got to navigate around it. And so is it helping you or hurting you? I started to realize that my limited thinking was hurting me. And so the moment I pushed that aside and started
Hmm.
thinking about what is possible, also the mind cannot do both. The mind can't be in a state of fear or doubt and also be creative and problem
Hmm.
solving. It's not, I've studied it. It's just, I remember, what is it, what part of the brain, but it is impossible. Try it. I'm sitting here worried. So it's also my principle of 80/20. You know, have you ever been in a meeting where everybody's still talking about the problem and 80% of the time has passed, and
Hmm.
then you finally talk about the solution? I also say that that's how I believe the Japanese got dominance, over the US in many ways. Because spend more time thinking about the solution.
Yeah, and not identifying who, what, why. Yeah, get to
You
the.
already know that.
Yeah.
So we're rehashing the same thing versus trying to figure out how to get out of a place. And I think that's how we look at our lives at times. Also, are you willing to do the work? People are like, oh, I want this. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to be a millionaire. I want to do this. Be honest. Are you doing the things that are necessary to get you there? And guess what? There's small little steps,
Hmm.
little things we can do. So I always say this, and this is the same thing I do. Are you doing something every day towards the dream?
1% better.
That's all it is. That marginal incremental improvement will lead to greatness. They'll lead to good, then to greatness.
Mhm.
And so stop being it. I used to also, I battled being a perfectionist earlier in my career. Oh my God, then you get all in,
Yeah.
and it was just in my way. So I want us to think about the obstacles. What's really keeping us? What do we keep harping on? I call it an addiction to fear
Hmm. You speak a
because,
lot about fear. I'm curious. Yeah.
yep, an addiction to fear, addiction to doubt, because that's what you've learned to do every day, in and out. And when are you going to end an addiction? When are you going to stop that level of thinking? Now, you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I see it. I see.
That's what we need to do.
Now, I've taken I taken some good notes. One of the things you as you were speaking about fear, it made me think of Timothy 1:7. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love. That
Oh,
that.
goodness. That's how powerful.
Mhm.
But, we should put that on, put it in writing, put it
Yeah.
on your laptops, put it
Mm.
in front of you.
Hmm.
Okay. Because one of the things I have here is this the best use of my time?
Ah.
So people say they don't have time for their, yeah, I don't have time. Yes, you do. if you were honest, I actually have to control this thing. How much time we spend on the
Same.
phone, how much time then I'm spending in TV. Those are opportunity costs. Not to say that you shouldn't do them,
Hmm.
but we have to get real and be honest. And I do it almost every day. All right, are you doing what you know supposed to be doing? If I want it badly enough, are you doing it? And oftentimes I'm like, okay. And yeah, do I give myself grace? We all should. But
Absolutely.
but let's be real. We can do more than we actually have probably done in our lives. And I'm pushing the envelope because I know that I'm fueled by faith and I have to help him help me.
Hmm.
So I got to go do my part.
That's good. That is tremendous. In all of this and tackling and conquering fear. Not even, and I don't know if we ever conquer it as much as we contain it. We put it in this box. It's
Yeah,
real. It
control it.
exists.
That's it,
Yeah,
right? Because
control
it's
it. I
going to
put you
come
over
up.
here.
It's not. That's
It's
right.
like a
Because it's
pet.
not. Because it's not one and done.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you just have to acknowledge it and say, okay, got it. All right, now. But when we start understanding that, when we lean into them and we start moving, the other side is where the real gold is and the real opportunity. But you can stay on this one side of the wall. You can live there all your life. But are you going to end up living a life of regret? I wish I had, should have had, all of that. Or I know that I tried. A try is better than doing nothing.
Hmm. Because you did something. You did a lot.
And that's learning. That's opportunity. That is already an improvement. And say, again, small steps, just saying, you know what, but also, what do you want? And trust that you are deserving of it. And at least you try. But there's fulfillment in just doing that one thing towards that. Think of how you feel. And again, I'm like, put that band on every moment you have it. But again, when I did it, as I was alluding to earlier, I did it for 30 days, but it was crazy. I made myself, every time that I had a limiting thought, I had to snap it back. I had to start all over again. So I get to 7 days thinking, and then darn it. But I make myself start over.
Mm.
But it was fascinating to start to see how the thinking was. And that's nothing else. I want your audience to just have a consciousness around how they're thinking in that moment of learning and awareness. I think that's when we can start making those little adjustments. And whether you want to build a bourbon brand or open a restaurant or just be better at work or be better with your family, now I can look at this and say, all right, there's a path forward.
What is that universal knob that you've changed that audience members can change that will get them on that path, that tangible action? I love the rubber band. I'm getting
The rubber
some
band,
dollars to it
I'm
later.
going to say this.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. I used to have them and I always wear them
Hmm.
and I would give them away to people. And I remember I was in Charleston, South Carolina and ran into somebody who had given a band and he said, I need to get another band because it would help me even on the golf course. And, but that level of consciousness alone, and then people joke, oh man, I'm going to bleed. But see, because people actually know that that's how they're thinking. And the other thing that I will say, and this is my journey, which I'd love to share with them, is that I started reading a lot of books and trying to help me think through this. And then I finally realized there must be something to this because in essence, the principles were almost identical from book to book about controlling your
Okay.
mind, whether it's Napoleon Hill, whether it's Les Brown, whether it's Tony Robbins. I
Oh, Tony
mean,
Robbins definitely.
you go down the list of folks, right? And the other thing is this, and this is the other way I got to bourbon,
Hmm.
a book, and even my new venture. You have to be still. Stillness is the key. I learned to meditate.
Mm.
And then I remember reading a book. Remember everyone was talking about TM and it's like, okay, yeah. And I'm the first to say I doubt all of this because I'm like, they're getting paid to say it, right?
Hmm.
But meditation and all of that, and countries are doing it. They're billion-dollar industries. I'm like, there must be something to it.
Do it. Yeah.
Let me say this. In my stillness, that is when he is speaking to me. Everything I need to know, it comes to me. Many people already have moments like this. When you sleep at night
Hmm.
and thoughts come, you know why they come at that moment? Because you have
Still,
stillness.
that still small voice comes in.
It comes because it's already there, but we aren't quiet enough.
Mhm.
Still enough to hear them. And then if you do it regularly, which is what I do, you'll start seeing it and you'll keep hearing it and you'll be like, well, I hear you. Now what am I going to do?
D, what is your morning routine? Because we're
Uh,
talking about fear. We're talking about being still. I'm curious in high performers. What is your morning routine?
I do have one, so that's a
Yeah.
great
And
question.
and I
And
think that's the thing I want the audience to hear. You should have a morning routine.
oh,
Um,
there's no question. You have
yeah.
to control your time. And for first of all, I'm always get up and work out every morning.
Mhm.
So, I have what even if I just do what's called the 7-minute routine, like this morning I did 7 minutes, and then I'm on this 30-day program of, squats and
Mhm.
sit-ups and all this. So that's about 30, 45 minutes every day working out in the morning. I've learned that if I try to do it later in the day, just not going to happen. So that's number one. I do have a morning routine of meditation. The other thing is plan my day. I try to do it the night before. I don't always do it, but I want to know what my three things. So what's the
Mhm.
best use of my time? But also what are the three things that will make me have a great day? And so there's three things I know I want to accomplish in the day, and I like things in threes. And so I just sort of list what those things are, like what would make me feel great about the day that I've accomplished and what are the top three, and I list them. And
Mhm.
then the other thing is I try to make time to read 10 pages of some book.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we all think that we should read more, and we're so critical of ourselves. And even with my book, I tell people, do not try to read it cover to cover. See, what's divine
Really?
is, no,
No author
don't.
said that before. Okay.
Yeah, you know why? Because most people say I don't have the time to do it. So what I say is, and this is just beautiful, is that when you see the book, pick it up. Like I have books all around me. I love to read,
Mhm.
but I might see something. I believe the page I see at that moment, I pick it up and open up is where I'm supposed to see. And I
Mhm.
read that, and then I take that knowledge and then I go on with my day. Now, there are books that I might read, and just because I have them, but I have to be intentional or know that I want to make sure I get in a part of a podcast for the day.
Mhm.
But that's what you deposit, right? That learning. I mean, there are certain books that I just keep by my side. I have a journal as well that I created, but I have TD Jakes right here,
Mhm.
disruptive thinking, what is unreasonable. I mean, getting things done because, sometimes if I'm stuck, I'm going to go reach for that book. So if we can just understand that for people who say, I'm not readers, don't try to be readers because they put that big, heavy lift on them, but I got to sit there and read this book. And none of us, not a lot of people just love it. And I've learned to love it and lean into it, but just get something
Mhm.
in. And so if you just commit to 10 pages, just 10 pages in the morning, and then I make sure I shower before I eat, and then
Mhm.
I can then move on, right? But that's pretty much it. It's like, just get a workout in, make sure I plan for the day, make sure that I do meditate, as I said, and
Mhm.
then read, and then I'm off to the races.
Well, that's a good start. And in
I
in
think
that
so.
in that time, if it's too personal, we move on. What are you praying for? What is as you journal, as you write down? What are the
Oh,
things you're praying for?
you know what? Thank you for that. And it is personal, but I'll answer it
Mhm.
because you know, I pray for my family because,
Mhm.
some of my family is struggling through things. But here's the thing too, this is real.
Mhm.
One of my family members was struggling and I'm the fixer. And it got to a point where I had to say, I've done all I can.
Mhm.
I prayed for a miracle. I prayed for God to step in here because I couldn't do anymore. And I'm getting emotional because that's what it did. But I'm going to tell you something. When I did not see the light came.
What does that mean?
He's with me.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
He struggled.
Mhm.
He was struggling, and I thought I had lost him. He made a way out of no way. So the prayer was finally said, God, I had done everything I can. And it was taking a toll on me health wise. Just to give you an example, but I'm always tell people, I'm gonna give it to you because if I can help one out there in the journey, I have done my job.
Amen.
But I had to let go and let God because I was doing everything. And doesn't mean that the things that I did didn't help, but I realized that I wasn't the only answer.
Hmm.
And so when I pray for, the people who in my life who I love, and I also pray that they know that I love them because I know how busy I am. I want them to know, at least the universe to know that that's what I care about is family and my friends. I pray for health. I pray for those who are less fortunate, and I also pray to have him use me as a tool. I
Hmm.
wanted to use bourbon as a tool. That was actually the intent. How do I use bourbon as a tool to bring people together? I also pray for people out there who's also trying to find a way. And then the other part of my prayer is simply more about gratitude. I do express gratitude every single day. And let me say, for the good and not so good, I've had tough days.
Hmm.
There are days when I, don't feel so empowered, but I'm also giving grace and thanks to that because ultimately those days help me also appreciate the greater days, right? We just won a big pitch. We were finalists this past week in Annapolis, so I was just out
Oh,
there.
oh, cool.
Forbes called this one of the best bourbons under $50.
Hmm.
Even we were just in Black Enterprise. I'm
Yes.
grateful for that. I'm grateful for that because I do believe in that principle of giving thanks. And when we do so, guess what? We have more to be grateful for. And it's hard sometimes to express that when you're going through things.
Hmm.
But actually, when you're going through things, I believe that's the time you need to say thank you.
Yeah. Those are the moments where you're learning. Those are going through things. Those are the moments when you get to apply the things that we've heard and learned in those quiet moments. It's the application and show I trust, I believe, I've learned.
It's so, so true. And then to have people know that they are sometimes looking outside of themselves for the answers when they're right
Yeah.
there in
That's
those
something
moments.
I've recently in that quiet morning moment realized like, no, I have everything I need to do everything I need to do.
Amen. And
um,
everybody
yeah.
doesn't feel that way, but
Yeah.
then you see, just accept that you have enough right now.
Hmm.
See, that's the thing, because there's just too much back to lack mentality.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you don't lack anything. You just have doubt and
Right.
fear. It's not that you lack anything. You just got obstacles or addictions, right?
Hmm.
That you need to overcome and get addicted on good, get inducted on helping people, go out there and put that
Hmm.
into the world. And you know what? I always say if I get down or whatever, the best thing you can ever do is go help somebody. And I have this saying how to feel better instantly. If you overthink, I'm looking at it right now. So the
Uh-huh.
audience, this is real. Well, if I'm overthinking, I write. If I'm tired, I take a nap. If I'm stressed, guess what I do? I go for a walk.
Hmm.
If I'm feeling a little lazy, you know what? That's probably means I need to go out and forget and reduce screen time, right?
Uh-huh.
Even when I'm burnt out, guess what I do? I read and I just sort of get that nourishment. And then when I get stressed or angry, music. Right. And
Hmm.
then when I'm feeling down, you know what I do? Go outside for a walk, exercise.
That's good. That's great advice. I know we're probably wrapping up soon. I know it's a busy day. Um, two questions that came to mind, and everybody go to Good Trouble online, get the bourbon. It's really good. I know we didn't talk much about it,
I
and
know we didn't, but
yeah,
that's okay.
and then
You
we
know what? Because remember, we're talking about the tool, but
tools, yeah, because it's a tool, and I realized in the conversation, Good Trouble is a tool. And you mentioned something that you're a fixer. Um, do people see you as a tool in the sense that they see you as a solution more than the person, the full bodied human? And this may be me projecting it from therapy, that feeling like people see me as a fixer, and the thing I'm working on is asking myself the question, is this a problem I want to solve? And if the answer is no,
oh,
then don't solve it. You're not required to.
that is something you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's real, and I appreciate you sharing that because there are times when everybody's coming to you, whether it's for money or this or that and the other thing. It's like you choose what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think that just because I was blessed enough that I was supposed to do it. Oh no, because everyone doesn't value the contributions you're willing to make. And I do think you have to be selective. You know why also? You have to protect you as they are taking and taking and taking,
Mhm.
and people who give don't generally take care of themselves, and you can let them take all that you got, and then there's nothing left, and who's going to help you?
Right.
So being selective and understand that, first of all, you are the most important asset in anything that you do. And being selective about those things are critical. And so you got to take care of you first. Oxygen mask, we all heard it. Who do they say put it on first?
Put it on yourself first.
Yeah, and and I had to learn how to celebrate small successes. I mean, I go right at it. It's like I won this thing, and I'm already like, okay, I got to go to work. And I'm learning to take time to sort of just pause and say yes, thanks. And
Mhm.
usually in my gratitude moments, I do it. But did I really celebrate that? And so normally I'll share it with the entire team because guess what? It wasn't my win. It wasn't just Dee Robinson, it was all of us contributing to it. And you were talking about the bourbon, I don't know if we had won gold at the San Francisco World Spirits
It's a
competition
big
when I saw
competition. Yeah.
you. And then when I was in New York 2 weeks ago, we just got medals at the New York World Spirits.
Yes.
So, like I said, making bourbon worthy of its name. I mean, it's a beautiful mash build, and the fact that it's a high rye. And actually, what I did there, back to earlier question you had,
Mhm.
was working with Jacob, and he probably got so frustrated with me, like, nope, that's not it, that's not it. But I love to learn to love bourbon, and I believe that if other people, if we brought something to them that was smooth and approachable.
Mhm.
So I wanted bourbon lovers, enthusiasts to love Good Trouble, but I also wanted to be approachable. And a lot of people say they don't like bourbon because it was that heat, that hot, it was
Yeah,
hot.
that Kentucky
And
kiss.
that
Yeah.
Kentucky Kiss. But or they may have just had, not great bourbon.
That I
And
think it's more of
so
that often.
yeah, but that great bourbon leads to some of that real hot heat that you just like,
Mhm.
oh, and then they swear off of it. And like, I don't like that. I didn't like, I'm not a smoker. I tried, nobody liked their first cigarette. I
Mhm.
just know they didn't,
Right,
but
right.
they were cool. But but you have choices with bourbon. And so I just wanted to make sure there was something that was so beautiful and approachable. And I think that's why we've been so fortunate to get so many awards. I wanted to validate that we were making good bourbon.
Mhm. And
And that's
I'm sorry.
no, no,
At
no.
I think it's important as well at the $50 price point. For especially specifically for bourbon. Depending with if you tequila vodka drinker that may be on a higher price point depending where your budget is. But in bourbon land, that is a great price point. But it sips like a 80 $90 bourbon, $110 bourbon. It sips at a higher price point. So it is a tremendous steal.
Well, I appreciate
Yes.
that because that is exactly right. We launched early, and it's like, but I wanted it to be something that people would find approachable. It's a super premium bourbon, and
Mhm.
but giving something at that price point that made it approachable was critical to this brand. I wanted people to experience it and enjoy it, and but the last thing I'll say about spirits in general
Mhm.
and about what we deserve. I want people to ask for their spirit of choice. I'm a restaurateur. If you say, I want a margarita, they're going to give you a margarita, but they're going to give you the well tequila.
Ah, mhm.
It does matter. We're high
It
proof, by the
does.
way,
It does.
92. And great cocktails. And it was also designed that way because we go from loving it and for an enthusiast who want to drink it neat. I talk about the bourbon journey,
Mhm.
neat to the little drop of water to a
Yeah.
large cube to the cocktail. And that 92 proof holds up
The
beautifully.
cocktails.
So higher
The old
proof.
fashioned I got. Oh my,
That's
perfect.
right,
Perfect.
right? But see, but guess what? We don't ask for what we want. And I looked at the data. Folks of color in particular, men do it on average more than anyone,
Mhm.
women. And then when I started breaking it down, Nielsen data shared it in single digits. You
Really?
deserve to have a great drink. You're out. Why not? And it's like, oh, I don't want to pay the extra money. Many times it's not. And if it's $1. But let me
Wow.
just say this, and you know it. The
Hmm.
difference between a great bourbon and a cocktail or a great tequila and a cocktail is better than whatever you get.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you're just drinking. I want us all to understand we deserve the best.
And you feel different in the morning.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
I turned 40 last week, 2 weeks ago now. Had a big party, had great bourbons
I
there,
didn't
great.
get an invitation, by the way.
I didn't. And you in Annapolis now as I'm putting it all together. Oh,
Hold
for
on.
41, 41. We'll do it then.
Happy
But the
birthday.
difference in spirit makes a difference. So when you're out celebrating graduations, the next day you wake
Yes.
up a lot better.
It,
When you're
but we
drinking with
deserve
something.
it.
Yes.
But think about the empowerment of that too. Just a little extra knowledge in the things that you
Hmm.
do. In that in itself, that I'm just not being I'm being intentional, which
Hmm.
is what you want to do in anything in your world, right? In your
Ah,
life.
how you do
Think about
anything
it
is how you
that
do
way.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. Um, two things. I said two things before. This is going to be truly two things.
Okay. All
The
right,
so
everybody, pay attention. Count for me.
Okay, yeah. The social component of Good Trouble. Talk about the some of the social activities that Good Trouble supports. I know a lot of minorities, specifically women-owned minority businesses and things like that. I think that's important in things I support, things I purchase, and I'm pushing as I go to restaurants that I know don't have it. You have Good Trouble, and the waiter or waitress runs and goes back, but they're gonna write it down because I've asked for it until it gets there.
So I love what you just said.
Yeah.
So we talk about these four categories: get in good trouble, which is our mission.
Hmm.
Look for it because if you're going to your retailer, you just go find it on the shelf and
Hmm.
ask for it. And if they don't have it, there's an opportunity to say, well, here it is. This is what I like. But without people asking for it,
Hmm.
it will never get the play, and then you can't go to that establishment. But that opportunity, but also we talk about looking for good trouble because I want you to find a way to be involved in your community, find a way to help. Every bottle of good trouble contributes to our foundation. And talking about the things we do, as you know, we met at Lamar Jackson's. We
Yeah.
supported his
Terrible
For
elite group.
Dreamers,
Yeah.
right? We want to always show up in communities in ways that matter that you can actually see and measure. So with Lamar was great. And then, we sponsored the horse race the next day with the Good Trouble Stakes.
Hmm.
But we had all these kids there from Baltimore that
Yeah.
were actually on the race who may not have never had a chance to actually be
Yeah.
there, touch
I grew up in
horses.
that community. I live
Yeah.
2 blocks from Pimlico. To this day, I've never been in Pimlico.
See, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
and that's it's fascinating. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. As you know, I'm a trustee for the PGA
Yes.
Foundation, and I want us all. Remember, I said earlier, we should be anywhere our dream takes us. So I fund the PGA Reach. I fund First Tee. I also want everyone to think about golf. Everyone should be out there getting on a golf course. Everyone, let me tell you, Wall Street Journal says golf is that new business skill. But I'm going to have us think about it in another way, which is
Mhm.
what drives my action. When a young man, if you say someone likes chess, what do you think about that person?
They're intelligent, smart,
There you
well.
go. Like
Yeah.
in a nanosecond, you
Hmm.
have shifted your thoughts. If you say, I play golf,
Yeah.
see how
Yeah.
efficient it is? So here, our black and brown kids, first of all, we're going to teach them how to go and be in places like that. I don't want any kid to ever get invited someplace and be so uncomfortable because they've never been there.
Hmm.
We need to put them in those places. Also, so with golf, you're learning how to interact with people. If you got a caddy program in the world, anywhere you are, I'm big on supporting caddy programs. They're interacting with folks, they're getting money, they're learning from the conversation, they're in the room. So think about that.
Hmm.
But I just know the efficiency of when I walk in, I know business leaders who said that their careers changed
On the golf course.
but on the golf course because they could play. They were getting invited to the party. I saw it when I was in banking. Literally, they come in, hey, one guy who's, he's an executive. He was wondering, why did you invite a junior person who reports to me and he didn't get invited? And he was furious. And you know what he did? That week he went out and got golf lessons because there was never ever he was not going to be invited to the party.
Same thing I
That
did.
allows us opportunities. And for the parents out there, look, I'm not telling anyone not to go pursue football, basketball, and all, but guess what? People who don't look like us always are ended up in our HBCUs and they're getting the scholarships and all.
Hmm.
If you need scholarships for your kids, let them play golf and then go and tap into those scholarships that are out there. And they're going to be in what do, last thing I'll say, what do athletes do after they retire from their career?
They play golf.
Just
They all go play golf.
there we go, drop the mic.
Yeah.
And so they recognize too. See, and also when it comes to education, we think about that there are definitely disparities there, and that's in the learning. But the real tragedy is this, it's the relationships. Bill Gates talks about the kids he would, went to school with and all the conversations and what led to that. We need to get our kids into the conversations and places so they can start seeing. Thankfully, my mother
Mhm.
was that woman who understood the importance of exposure. And but if you can't see it, you won't believe it. So that's a lot of the work that I do. I want to make sure that they can see it. I want you to show up in places that you may not ever, whether it's golf, whether it's, Formula One,
Mhm.
sailing. I sail.
Oh.
We support kids coming to the water. But those are the things that ultimately something that right opens up. And I'm sure all of us, if we took a moment, can remember the moment when something influenced us, something you
Hmm.
saw that
Hmm.
you didn't know about. And we talked about it earlier, or leaning into something like, oh, I like that. But if you don't know it, how would you? Maya said, what? If you knew better, you do
You do
better.
better. Yeah.
Well, if you knew of more opportunities and you could see things and you can see what you like, my mom just said, try everything. And then you'll find a way that's like, oh, and you'll see what you gravitate towards. I see a lot of parents do that now, like have them play all of their sports. The cream will rise to the top.
Hmm. Every time. No, that is good. I got into economics because I had an older cousin show me a supply and demand graph. I was like, "What is this?" And that's how I got into economics.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
We have something similar because when I was at Penn, what I would see, this is probably my personality. Like, you can't tell me I can't do something. So all the kids were like, oh, econ's hard. You can't do
Yep.
it. And then I'm like, hmm. So I took a
Mhm.
course and I'm like, and I'm still trying to figure out, like I was trying to figure out why did they think this so hard?
Right.
But then I became an econ major because for me, it
Same.
clicked. And I enjoyed it. And I took some risks there as well because I ended up volunteering when nobody else did. So raise your hand. Raise your hand and
That is the
just
cheat
in
code to
there.
college. I'm trying to
Yep.
tell my nieces and nephews that participate, get the answer wrong, but you tried.
It's true, but I actually ended up writing with one of my professors, and it
Mhm.
led to a whole lot of other things. And so I want you to take those opportunities and be okay with failing, and you'll see it happen around you. It's those who actually decide to volunteer. Remember, you're learning. So don't sit there on the side. Yeah, those are opportunities that we cannot be the one that volunteers, be the one that says I can or try. I know women who are accomplished. It's like I'm not ready for board. But yet these men are saying, okay, I'll do it, and they're less qualified, but they said yes, and see who's in the room, who's got the opportunity, because
Opportunity, yeah.
someone simply said yes.
And showed
And
up.
I in my book I say yes more.
Hmm. I had a virtual mentor, someone I follow online, say make this your year of yes. And that year I said
Absolutely.
yes to everything, every gig, every opportunity, every assignment at work. Sure, go for it, and made all the difference.
Well, and that's it. It's a great way. Say yes to your dreams. That's
Yep.
all I was ask your audience to do. So whatever it is they're thinking about, say yes to your dreams. I'm glad that I said yes to this interview with
Yes,
you.
thank you. I
No,
appreciate it. Yes.
listen, you were delightful. I really appreciate you. And but you followed up, and that's another part of it, right?
Hmm.
That you said you would, and you're here, and here we are. And I'm excited. We got a new limited release that's going to be coming out soon as well. So I'm excited that we'll be able to share that. But you see that guitar over there, and
Yes, I
the
was looking at it in the background with the rhinestones and
yes,
stickers on it.
you
Yeah.
you know who Buddy Guy is?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
not
So
a
Buddy Guy gave me that guitar in 2019. Yes.
wow.
And our next limited edition is going to be a celebration to blues because it's a story of resilience and hope. And so I decided to create Trouble and Blues.
Trouble and blues. I
So
love that.
yes, and so we're gonna honor him. He's 80. He will be 89 this year.
Hmm.
I took Buddy Guy to a Cubs game to meet the owners of the Cubs, and he's been a dear friend. but I want to honor him and what he's contributed to the music. And he has felt that's what led to this, that, we don't necessarily celebrate it, but it touched so many lives and really also was part of what helped being about rock and roll.
Hmm.
And so he says that they celebrate it everywhere, but not necessarily as well here in Chicago. And so I'm going to focus on Blues Legacy and celebrating him, and he'll be 89 in July. So my hope is that we'll release that in time to celebrate Buddy's birthday.
I'm excited. I look forward to it. I told the team I thought my bottle would got here a week ago. They said hopefully it gets here tomorrow, but either way, that'll
I'll
be my
find out.
next.
Well, I'll make
Yeah.
a note to find out what's going
Okay.
on. I think I know
Yeah.
somebody who might can figure this out.
Okay. I appreciate that. Dee, it's been an honor. You're truly a woman of excellence.
Thank you so much.
I
It's
love
been
the interview. We went everywhere but bourbon, and I love that because you this has been good trouble.
This is good trouble. And guess what? And so are you, my friend. So
I
keep doing all
appreciate you.
that you're doing. And I love this because you're really about this brand as well, just having great conversations.
Mhm.
And somebody's going to hear these and know that they're going to touch them in some way. So I really applaud the work that you guys are doing, how you got here and then how you leveraged it to help, spread the word. So
Yes.
very nice job. And it's been my honor to be with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, my pleasure. Bye
Thank
now.
you.